Well, hello there. This is the huggable, lovable, touchable, slightly maniacal, stillable, speaking Big Bear StarCraft 2, bringing you guys a TVP. Unfortunately, just as a quick side note, I did actually just remove my Cloud versus Stefano game because it was really bad quality. The microphone was a little bit off, and that is totally my fault. That is just simply because I did not run a quick mic check. This game actually should be better because I did run a quick mic check. And the thing about my mic is that if you do not put it at the right spot, it will actually just sound absolutely horrible, like you guys could tell. But the thing is, I am actually very, very pumped for this game. I had Mike Tyson actually punch me in the chest just to pump me up for this game. And yes, I did think of that before the cast. It is just one of those things that I am trying to do. If you are funny, I am sure that people will in fact love you, because being funny is kind of important when you're commentating, because if you're just kind of all analytical all the time, people don't really want to watch. They kind of want to watch someone who's going to make them laugh, make them feel good. And fortunately enough for you guys, I did in fact have a pretty good day. So we'll see how my jokes are doing. My microphone should be good. I will actually kind of start just checking all of my casts before I do them to ensure that my casts are of good quality. Now, first of all, nAni, the Terran player, and aTnsocke is actually going to be the Protoss. His name is actually Sock. It was my fault. I did not know how to say it, but now I do in fact know. Anyhow, Sock is the light blue Protoss, and we have the blue Terran, nAni. Now, Sock, really known for his macro game. As a quick interjunction here, he is really known for his macro game. He's not kind of that player who's going to all-in cheese you, but he will be kind of the player who's going to favor that faster expansion and really take you into the late game. And that is the sign of any extremely, extremely good player, is a player who is in fact comfortable with taking another player into the late game. While nAni, he is that classic standard player. He's a very, very strong player as well. He's really known to play standard, and I think that he does have a couple of tricks up his sleeve. I've seen him cheese once or twice, and they were both pretty successful, actually. And they were really things I've never seen before, like weird timings on his Banshees and whatnot, and stuff like that. So this shall be an interesting game. We have the Macro King against the standard Terran player, and I think that Terran play standard is extremely strong, as well as being standard with the Protoss. But as a Protoss player, it's really easy to cheese. You know, you can proxy Stargate, you can proxy Gateway. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, and not all of them do involve proxies, in fact, because Protoss players have this thing called a warp gate, which is a ridiculously amazing thing, and obviously a lot of you players do know that, and it's just simply that you can warp in units wherever you want to on the map, and that basically means that cheese is pretty easy, because you can keep your production facilities here, like the gateways, turn them into warp gates, and then just warp units at the front of his base, which is why the 4 gate was so popular until they did nerf it. And now I think that was a really smart play by Blizzard, because it kind of forces Protoss players to go into different kind of play styles, and you can see he's going to be chrono boosting out a sentry here. So he did kind of favor a later unit here, and I mean, not really going to be chrono boosting out this warp tech at all, because it just takes too long to really be of any use into early pressure. So I think Sock will be favoring a 2 gateway into expansion, like I was saying. Now, as a side note, something I've actually started to notice, and I don't really agree with, nAni actually does go for that fast command center, so he does go 1 Rack CC. You usually see Protoss players actually choose to steal this gas here, because that pretty much forces a Terran player to go into a 1 barracks command center style of play. So nAni just kind of used to having his gas stolen, I guess, and so he does just kind of opt to play with the very, very fast expansion. Now, Sock, it's going to be up to him to either put the pressure on or expand himself, and it looks like, as I am saying that, he does expand a little bit late. He does expand with 500 minerals. I think Sock did feel some kind of early pressure. As you can see, the sentry is a little bit low, and now he's going to be pushing out with his Marine Marauder Ball, with concussive shells not actually being researched yet, and the reactor is on the way. But like I was saying, something I've noticed is that casters, they kind of seem to be doing their own thing, and I'm kind of trying to figure out how I can support other casters. I mean, I know I am not very popular, like in the sense that I only have, what, 63 lowly subscribers. I mean, admittedly, that is not much, and I do know that, but I mean, I'm starting to notice that really the casting world is kind of a divided world in itself. Sure, you put your like, you know, people you do support on your channel and say like, oh, this is a caster, view his channel, but you never actually say view his channel. I understand that it's, I mean, it's such competitive play, I mean, such competition to be the best caster, and so you don't really want to, you know, advertise other casters, but people talk about how important esports is as a community and how important it is to really kind of all be together, but I don't really see that in the players. I mean, like, a lot of the casters don't really support each other, and you actually hear us come a stalker push with a Marine, but what I'm saying is, you know, I'm really going to try to start supporting casters who you know, like maybe are better than me, maybe have more subscribers than me. I'm just gonna start trying to co-cast with different people, and maybe, you know, who knows, you guys will find someone that you like as much as me or more than me. I mean, that is totally possible as well. And you guys could subscribe to their channel, and I think that I'm going to try to make esports the community that it really should be, because we do have such a diverse and such an amazing community, and that's the thing I really like about esports as a, like, you know, as a community, because when you guys do watch these videos, you are supporting esports in itself. And so I'm going to try to be co-casting. I think I'm actually co-casting a game with a new caster called Butt with Girl tomorrow. We'll see if that does in fact work out, and if it does, I will be uploading that game, and you guys can feel free to view her channel. And I think I mean, I'm just going to try to start supporting people, and maybe people will start supporting me, because obviously if they have more subscribers than I do, it is them supporting me. And I mean, co-casting is obviously more exciting because you get different personalities inside of the game, and I really like that kind of thing. But I mean, I've just been seeing, you know, people kind of just sticking to their own channels, and I can understand that it is hard to to set up a co-cast, but I think that it is not super difficult, and so I'm going to try to set it up, see what I can do. I mean, I will obviously be doing it over Skype, and I have heard some of her casts, and she actually does have a very, very, very good casting voice, and I am more than happy to support a fellow caster with my lowly 63 subscribers, and I think you guys will really enjoy that. So we shall see, but enough about the casting community and about esports, because we will jump back into this game, because it looks like nAni is deciding to push out here. This is a very, very good time to push out, because the Colossus does not get out until 9:45 is usually the average time. He's actually going to push up here. He's going to snipe one Zealot. One Zealot will go down. The Protoss is actually desperately trying to get back. There's the Guardian Shield going up. Good force field, but not really that good. And there's two more to actually cut off the entire army. A lot of probes getting pulled up the line. Probes getting sniped left and right. These Protoss armies actually is getting blocked behind his own force field, so they are actually negative force fields, and this Nexus may go down. We shall see if the Protoss, if the Terran player tries to sack a lot of his units to in fact take it down. No, instead opting for the Marine killed and suck with amazing force fields, but I do not know if it will be enough, because this damage was immense. He's going to be killing a lot of units, but I think eventually this will go down with the Colossus coming out, loading up into the medevac. Will he drop on top of this? Now, an important thing to note is that this is Lost Temple, but this was tournament play, and Lost Temple was in fact in the map pool for this game. Now, I mean, that was a very, 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 a lot of varies, strong attack by the Terran player. If we go to the workers killed tab, you can see he killed 16 workers, and that is not a position you want to be in if you are Zerg, Terran, or Protoss, but especially if you are Protoss, because you really rely on that economy to start pumping the Colossus out. And you can see that he's going to be getting out his second Colossus, and he's going to be trying to get out Thermal Lance, and I mean, really, he's not going to be able to push out for a little while here, so now the advantage goes into the Terran, and he can really kind of choose what he wants to do. If you go to the unit counting station, you can in fact see that we are 46 SCVs to 39 probes. Now, as a Protoss player, you do want to be ahead in the worker count, because if we go to the income counting station, you can see that he is much further ahead than he should be, and that is because of these beautiful little yellow construction vehicles that are robots that actually do not know anything except to mine minerals and the occasional repair. And I mean, they really just kind of boost the Terran player's income. The only disadvantage is that he will in fact mine out his bases sooner, because even a full saturation mules mine over workers, so you can have them mining at the same time, and he did kill one of his own units. I think that was a slight misclick. That is one of those times where you kind of smile, but then you do not smile if that Marine could have in fact won you the game or that intense battle. Now, the Protoss player knows he's behind, so he's opting to get the gold expansion, and this is a good play because these Colossus are relatively immobile. So if you get an expansion that is close to the choke point of your base and is a little bit easier to hold off, that is smart, because Colossus are pretty slow. And he's pushing them out. Now, if the Terran player were to push up with these Vikings, then he probably would kill him. And I really like this play by the Terran player. He's going to be getting out a lot of Vikings and a lot of Marines and Marauders. But back in the Protoss base, you can see that he is also being smart. He's going to be taking control of the Selnog Watchtower. That really allows for him to see any sort of early pressure. Now, he should be expanding here momentarily. I think he is, in fact, saving up the minerals for that expansion. We'll see if he pulls a probe over here to kind of take this gold expansion. But for the most part, I mean, it's really important to, in fact, you know, kind of control the Zelnaga Watchtowers. and keep your observers safe. And he's going to be moving his observer away because I think nAni can in fact see it, but I'm not for sure. But for the most part, you just kind of want to use your observer to, in fact, kind of just spot the Terran's composition. You can see he's getting a lot of Vikings, so if I was the Protoss player, I would really be favoring more of the Gateway army, because this army is heavily outweighed by nAni's. nAni really overproducing on the Vikings. If the Protoss player had tech switched into an all-Stalker or all-Gateway army with High Templars as backup, this army would be extremely ineffective. But nAni is, however, fortunate that he did choose to be mass pumping the Colossus, and you can see that now he is just going to be transitioning into a Blink with +1. That's very smart by the Protoss player, because that simply means that he knows that there are a lot of Vikings on the field. These Vikings are going to make extremely quick work of the Colossus, because Vikings can actually shoot Colossus, and Colossus can not shoot Vikings because they actually do not look up. They cannot just simply raise their heads. They are constantly trained on the ground, and they are too busy to be seeing these giant Viking shells that are actually going to be hitting them. So the Colossus are going to be rather ineffective. I mean, even if nAni produces no more Vikings this entire game, this is more than enough Vikings to one-shot every single Colossus. So he's going to probably be favoring more of a Gateway composition. We'll see what he actually chooses to do, but aTnsocke, I mean, I really like this play from aTnsocke. He does, because he's constantly scouting and he knows what nAni has, and now nAni is going to be transitioning into a higher Marine and Marauder ball. It'll be interesting to see if he does in fact scout this Observer. The Observer does see that there is a third base up, and Protoss has not actually gotten his third base up, so it's really going to be kind of up to the Protoss player to in fact start putting the pressure on. And now that he has his base fully saturated, he's not really looking to actually get this expansion up quite yet, so we're just going to mine minerals here, because they're going to be extremely ineffective actually mining here. This is a little play by Socke. If you know that your base is fully saturated, you actually can just kind of take some drones and then just long distance mine if you know that your drones are going to be safe. And now you can see that he's going to be pushing up. There's going to be the little tiny subtle dance that actually does happen on a regular basis. He's going to actually move up with the Vikings. These Vikings are all going to try to clump together to one-shot the Colossus. He's going to move up with the Stalkers, but the Stalkers will be in danger of this unit. And while we go back to the base of nAni, you can see he's going to be getting a Mobius reactor. He's going to be getting Terran's ship weapons level 1 and melee weapons level 2, so he's going to be having a 1-1 upgrades to the Protoss's 0-1 upgrades. The only positive thing about the Protoss's upgrades is that they do in fact affect his entire army, as opposed to nAni's, where he does have to get 2 separate upgrades to affect his Vikings and his ground army. Now, I do not know why the Protoss player is choosing to get more and more Colossus. I think he should have made a High Templar switch. This is more than enough Vikings to actually just simply one-shot the Colossus if they get caught in any sort of out-of-position play, and he's going to be trying to, I think he's going to try to skirt around here with the Stalkers and the Colossus and catch him all out of position, maybe kill as much as he can here. But I mean, if he does try to do any sort of play, he's going to lose to this massive Terran ball. This Terran ball is rather scary. The stims are going to be amazing, and I mean, it really does make quick work of any sort of Gateway army. Now he's going to choose to engage here. He's actually going to run in. All of these Colossus will actually go down, but there's a lot of Colossus shooting down the Gateway army. This Vikings are actually going to be focusing down the Colossus rather quickly. He really needs to keep the back of his army alive, but you can see a lot of it is going down, but there's not very much infrastructure underneath these Colossus. Now that the Colossus are down, there's going to be free reign on the units, but I mean, nAni not really microing his units very well, and they are just getting decimated by the ground army. He's going to choose to land all of his Vikings. I think he did overproduce on the Vikings a little bit too much, and you'll actually see that Vikings are relatively good against Gateway units. They're actually going to clean this up rather quickly, but I have to ask you, at what cost? nAni did in fact have the advantage there, but now I really can't say that he did. I think that nAni is just going to kind of return to base and try to macro up as much as he possibly can, and I think I'm getting some lags on my... So, I mean, we have 2 minutes left in the game, and I mean, really, nAni is going to be going for that smart play, and he's just going to try to re-macro up, but I think that the Protoss did become the victor in that battle, because nAni did have a massive unit lead on him. He did have the composition that did counter it. He just simply did not have the ground army run away while the Vikings did pick away at the Colossus. I think that would have been a much better play. And finally, aTnsocke, he is going to be getting that Immortal. He is a little bit behind still because of the fact that the Terran player has been mining off of this gold for a much longer time than the Protoss player has, because the Protoss player did in fact kind of opt for a more all-in-y style play there. It wasn't really all-in, it was just kind of the attack that needed to do an economic damage, and it did no economic damage at all. But you can see that he is being smart. He's going to be grabbing the Immortals as opposed to the Colossus from before. The only disadvantage is that Immortals obviously do not do as much damage as Colossus, and now the final Terran push is coming. This is a very scary Terran ball. He's going to be stimming rather soon here, I think, and there it is. He's actually going to be forcing the cancel onto this Nexus, or he will actually just run in really closely here. The Vikings really should just kind of land there. They are landing, and they're going to make extremely quick work of the Zealots. These guys actually do decimate Zealots, and now there is the GG by aTnsocke, and he does in fact lose. If you guys really do want to know, I think that aTnsocke should have grabbed an earlier third expansion, and he really should have been getting faster. I mean, he should have been getting not as many Colossus when he saw the ridiculously high Viking count. He should have instead opted for a more heavy Sentry, Stalker, Zealot mix, or, you know, maybe he could have gotten